All right, Crouton Ramon's House of Math. This is going to be a longer one. Got about 60 slides to go through, 64 slides. Oops, 66 slides to go through. And we'll go through one at a time and just talk about playing with purpose. So here we'll begin at the ending. So this was a pile of sixes. You can see there's quite a few sixes there. And after I got done building them and counting them and fooling around, and then of course because there's two at a time, we count them by 12s also. The most fun part of building a tower is knocking it down, of course. So he tried to knock it down by knocking this one out, and the leg stood up. We weren't even playing Jenga. He was expecting it to fall over, but the way he knocked it out with speed and precision, the tower stayed up. And we're just playing and having fun and learning sixes at the same time. All right, so combo kit, the top tray. This is the go-to kit. This is where we start. This tray gives you control of error, gives you exercises, does all kind of things for you. So don't throw away your trays. You use these blocks in the trays, and now we have lessons on add-ins. So using two hands, we get a whole brain exercise going on, and we've got our tens being built here. There's only one more combination, 5 and 5, and he's done. And then, as you can see, as we build more and more combinations, gee, it gets less. Pretty soon, as it turns out, there's only a couple combinations for like 6. Right? There's 3 of them, 5, 4, etc. Okay, and then when we're done, it's a lovely pattern. We decided that was a control panel for his rocket ship. But there's all your add-ins built out. Now, there's 25 add-ins from 2 to 18, and then another 20 add-ins from 18 to, or excuse me, there's 25 add-ins from 2 to 9, or 10, excuse me, 2 to 10, and then another 20 add-ins from 11 to 18, which is 45 add-ins. And then you have all your multiplication. And one of the things you can do for multiplication in this tray, when they're little, just pattern for them. 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6, 3, 6, 9, 4, 8, 12, 5, 10, 15, 6, 12, 18, etc. Just do the first 3. They don't have to do all of them. But then they've heard that, so they know 3 sixes is 18 without having to think too hard about it. All right, so then we watched some multiplication rock because I asked him, what have you been practicing? And he said sixes. So we went to the 6 multiplication rock. And then we built a tower of sixes and counted sixes past, because multiplication rock only goes to 12. And at the House of Math, we do 20 by 20 matrix. So he put all his blocks together there and counted them. And then, like I said, we counted 12s. And then we talked about how each 6 is a 3, and each 12 is 4 threes, and etc. And we wrote them down, or I wrote them down on the board, and we talked about it and counted so that he has the experience of counting by sixes all the way to 20. Okay, and then we wrote them down, and then he showed me he wrote them down. So there they all are, all the way out to 120. And you can see 6, 6, 6, right? So 6, 36, 66, 96. So that's easy. You just get the first 5, and then that one's a gimme, that one's a gimme, that one's a gimme. How many is that? That's 6 of them. How many is that? That's 11 of them. How many is that? That's 16 of them. All right, so, but writing it down, we spend precious little time during the hour of tutoring writing stuff down because it just slows things down. And the child's ability to work a pencil does not reflect on the child's intellect. Okay, especially at the young age, they need a chance to practice and develop their fine motor skills. And just because their fine motor skills aren't developed doesn't mean they can't think, and doesn't mean you can't teach them math concepts. All right, so then his brother came in, and we built more sixes. So he heard it over and over again. So once he played with them and had his hands on them, and then he heard his brother, and he played with them and had his hands on them. So he got his sixes over and over again, because repetition is the mother of skill. Nothing, no way around it. You're going to have to do it over and over again. But by the time they're 7, if you start off when they're young, 3, 4, 5, by the time they're 7, multiplication tables mastered. all of the add-ins mastered. Don't have to think about what's 15 minus 8. They just know the answer is 7. They don't have to think about it because they just know because they played with the blocks for so long. All right, and then we changed the game up a little bit where he made a hoop here so that he could throw his sixes through the hoop, and then they counted each time it went through. So again, and he never missed. But again, what do they do? They practice their sixes. And they both hear it, and they both see, oh, 3 sixes is 18. Oh, 6 sixes is 36. Oh, 12 sixes. Where are we at when we count to 12 sixes? Well, we're at 72, and etc. All right, so they hear it over and tossing back and forth a couple of times, just for fun, just playing. And then, of course, what's the next thing? Algebra. Throw some algebra at them. So they're both working on a problem together, but they've also worked on problems separately. But we play and goof off and play with algebra. Every lesson, there's a little bit of algebra in there, or a lot of algebra, depending on how interested they are in whatever it is we're doing. And the algebra reflects back on the sixes. So let's see here. X squared, 6x and 5. X squared, 6x and 8, etc. Right? There's only 3 combinations. X squared, 6x, and 9. That because those are the add-ins and those are the multiplication facts for that for those 3 polynomials. Okay, let's see here. All right, so this is I love it because I caught the expression, and if you look down here, you can see what I did is I wrote I made them count, and we counted 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we counted 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and what you get is the 9 times table. So after he was shocked that it was that easy, because we just wrote it and then he wrote it again, and here you can see here, we're getting out to 20, that it's 9, 10, 11, 12, and then there's your 9 times table again by just adding 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, all the way to 180. So there's all 20 of the facts, and see, he's all happy because look how easy that is, and it's fast. All right, and then he wrote them down in his notebook. Like I said, we don't spend too much time playing with paper and pencil or pen and whiteboard. Mostly, it's playing with blocks. Get your hands on the blocks. So here we're playing with sixes, and he's out of sixes. So he figured out that, wait a second. Well, actually, he didn't figure it out. I told him, because he's like, I'm out of sixes. I can't go to 20. I'm like, why don't you build with other blocks? You can make more sixes, right? Mind blown. I caught him in the moment. Oh, yeah. Okay, so, because 5s and 1s, and I taught him the trick about that. But yeah, speaking of minds being blown, mind's blown with add-ins. Because she realizes, oh, now that I know my add-ins, I can do subtraction. And other things are going to be a lot easier and more fun. And here, let's take a short trip over here. When girls play with blocks, usually a little different than when boys play with blocks. They like to make designs like this, flowers and these guys. And what are we doing? Counting fours. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And we're counting over here. 3, 3, 6, 9, 12. Oh, look. 2 4s is 8 and 8, 16. Oh, look at all those 4s to count. 4, 8, 12, right? Okay. Just count. Build stuff. Point things out. Bring from the subconscious to the conscious. Because the subconscious sees all of these things. And then when you verbalize and articulate it, it becomes available for the conscious mind. So here are a bunch of sixes. Look, he built all these sixes, and then I taught him this trick where it's like you count by 5s and then add 1. So 5, 10, 15, and then add 3 because you got 1 extra each time because you're counting by 6s, not by 5s. But that makes it a lot easier. So 5 times 5 is 25, and 5 more fingers makes 30. You see how that works? So if you can count 5s, you can count 6s. Okay, let's see here. And there's his 6th city. These are a bunch of buildings. It's Tokyo, as it turns out. And this is the ocean, and that's a pier. And those are all 6s, and we counted all of them. And we counted all of them more than once. And like I said, I taught him how to do it with the knowing that you hold up one finger. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 again. So what do you have there? You have 6 5s. And then you have to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you keep track on your fingers. And then, of course, the next thing is 7s. And yes, multisensory math, whole brain activity, get the kinesthetic learners involved. He's playing math and observing and in the background fooling around. And I've talked about this before, where they actually increase the concentration of their siblings because concentration increases when there's noise going on. It's easier and better when it's quiet, which is why libraries are quiet. But if you want to focus and not be disturbed and be able to train your mind to be able to focus, it's good to have stuff going on in the background where you're focused on one thing and other things are going on that don't concern you, and you can focus on the math or whatever it is at hand. So here he is building one of my favorites is Stingray, and then here's Godzilla that was built, and Godzilla has a seven tail even, and like I said, we're playing. So there he is, Godzilla's blue plasma beam knocked over the city. And we had fun, like I said. Okay, I'll go backwards. Building it, again, fine motor skills. And it takes two hands to balance it like this. So you can see that this guy, that was a lot of fine motor skills to get that to balance on there and to get these guys. And anyway, but see, we're playing, having fun, counting sixes, counting sevens. Now, we spend quite a bit of time doing that, and there's Tokyo demolished, and there's his long tail. All right. So, oh, there you go. I have them out of order here. But there it is. That took quite a bit. This thing fell over several times, and every time it fell over, we had to count it again. So 7, 14, 21. We know those three, 21, 28, right? And counting it over and over again, there's 9 of them there, while he built it and knocked it down. And you can see this took quite a bit of fine motor skills also. And he decided that it looked like Godzilla, that it was it was a monster with his arms up. Okay, and you can see, oh look, we played quite a bit of blocks because there's a mess there. And there's some algebra right there. And there's his brother fooling around in the background, having a fun time. Okay, and then he comes in to help and write and make some algebra problems. And look, we're building stuff over here. It's a constant and enjoyable experience, right? The two of them having fun. And then, let's see here. They're writing down multiplication tables by sevens. And he's got better motor skills than his brother because his brother is, what, 4 years younger than he is? So it'll take him a while for him to get here. But, yeah, 7 and 2 is a 9. That's supposed to be a 9. And he was chastised slightly, but only slightly, for making his 9 like that. But the rest of his letters, or numbers, look great. There's a great 9. And, like I said, his fine motor skills do not reflect on his intellect. This child is very smart, but he's very young, so he doesn't work a pencil well yet. And there he is with 8. And see, all of them, he doesn't stay inside the lines. That's not the assignment. The assignment was to write down all of the combinations, or excuse me, all of the multiples for 8 all the way to 10. And he did. He wrote them all out nicely. And look at how nice those letters are. And now he just has to work on, excuse me, those numbers. And now he just has to work on making them smaller and more neatly. Neatness counts. Okay, so here they are, both of them working on an algebra problem where they're doing it separately, and they're kind of sort of racing to see who can get it first. Sometimes they work on problems together. Sometimes they work on problems separately. The main thing is have fun. And they're not really working on problems. These are puzzles. Because what are we going to do? Yeah, we work on sixes and sevens and multiplication tables and multiplication of rock, but algebra, algebra, algebra. Here is add-ins for 10. Here is 6 times 4, since we were fooling around with sixes. And, yeah, right, it's fun when you get it right. And there is 8x and 16, a square number. But again, lots of algebra, counting and playing in algebra, where we factor polynomials, but they don't know they're factoring polynomials because it's just puzzles. And see, I put the problem on the board, and it's backwards, and he has to figure it out. And see, again, his brother playing in the background while he sits there and tries to figure out how to turn this into a rectangle. It's a puzzle. We're playing, having fun. And it's fun when you figure it out, right? I mean, it's fun. You can see him. He's not crying and suffering like many of the children that I have to run into for teaching math and tutoring, where they've just been damaged by algebra teachers, or so-called alleged algebra teachers, because if the child is damaged and traumatized and can't do algebra, then they weren't really teachers, were they? And it's the system that they use. It doesn't work. It's as simple as that. Okay, so then here's other children playing and goofing around with blocks and getting number theory in, and then they could pick this up, and later on they did, and put them together and see that the 1 and the there's a 2, the 2 and the 8 go together, and the 3 and the 7 go together, and the 4 and the 6 go together, and what are we making? Tens. And it's a cool building. And as I was saying, the younger children and girls, they build one way. I should go here. But they also like to play, for sure. Like this is very typical for girls. But don't kid yourself. Girls can build towers and do everything the boys do, and boys do everything the girls do. Right? Make their own designs. But here's a design where they're building a tower and working on fine motor skills and having fun. They're so young they're on the table instead of being on the floor. And then here is building add-ins. Look, those are 8s, 2 4s making 8. And over here, what do we have? We have a 10 with a 6 and a 5, or 6 and a 4 and 2 5s. Anyway, building add-ins. There's lots of different ways to build add-ins. And we can count these guys, multiplication here. We don't have to get the full table out. There doesn't have to be 20 of them. And look, we're doing 3, 4 different tables at a time here. And actually we can count 2s too. 2, 4, 6, 8. And then 6, 12, 18, right? So they hear it and they count it. And they can see that 5 6s is 30. And they can see that this is 42. And they can see that, counting by 5 is super easy, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. But you got to get them to stop when they get to the end because they'll just keep counting. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That's it. You can't count to 35 because there's only 5, 6 of them there. 5 6s. Wait, 6 5s. There you go. Okay, and then here we have 3s. Super easy. And might watch the 3 is magic number multiplication song. I got 6. Lucky 7 Samson. And the hide and go seek one for counting by 5s. And what is that? That's 12 minutes of watching video out of the hour if we did all 4 of them, because each one of those videos is 3 minutes long. All right, and there's the house being built, and it's got more stuff, and it just looks cool, and she's counting the telling me what the add-ins are over here. Another simple exercise for playing blocks. Building with just 24. And this one had rules. This one, you had to use all the same block. So there he is using all green ones. And this one, we crowned it off with, didn't follow the rule, where we've got 2 12s there, technically. And then 24 green ones. And then, 3 8s, 8 3s. 4 6s, 6 4s. Okay. And, 2 12s, 12 2s. That's all talking about 24 and just what? Look at all the math going on here. Got to count by 3s, got to count by 2s, got to count by 4s. And there's a 24 wall where she didn't have any rules. It was just build it and make a pattern and have fun. And the next time she builds it, she probably will have rules. This time she is using all 2s. And you can see here, if you look at all the math, and like I said, just point it out, because the subconscious mind picks it up, but you have to verbalize it. So we can see that, let's see here, we've got 5s and an 8 in it, right? We're just making everything fit to make it a 24 block. And I believe these are all 6s. 6 times 4 is 24. But she didn't build all with 4s because, like I said, it wasn't the instruction. The instruction was just put some blocks together and count. And she gets add-ins in there. Subconscious mind can see that if you have I don't know, what can we see here? That if I have a 4 and I take the 1 out, there's 3 left. We can see that together right away. Let's see here. If you look down here, we can see this 8 is broken up, and there's, right? I mean, all these guys compared to each other lets you see that, oh yeah, if the 6 was moved over, 2 threes is a 6, but since it's not, I have a 3, a 2, and a 1. That's the same thing as a 6. Just counting and having fun. And then here, we're counting these guys. Oh, look, we built a pyramid of 10s. This 10 had broke the rules by making it with 3 blocks, but it's basically 7 and 3, but 9 and 1, all these guys. And then there they are all again on the roof, making 10s. And then the walls, making 10s. And this wall is boring because it's all the same block, and it's more fun when you look on the other side and there's like the other sides were not all the same block. And there's a nice pyramid of those are multi-10 blocks just stacked on top of each other, but they went around and had fun with the 6, and you can see that if I have one more and one more on 6, that's the same thing as an 8, which is the same thing as a 5 and a 2 and a 1. And we can see that this side is 12 because that's 10 and 2. Why? Because we're surrounding this 6. And then we can count. We could count by 6s if we wanted to, 6, 12, 18. We count by 5s, etc. There's lots of ways to count this pyramid. It's a simple pyramid, but there's still a lot of counting involved if you make it that way. And oh, look, we can see we're playing What's Under the Cup, advanced What's Under the Cup. 2x plus 2 is the same thing as x plus 7. And then over here, we've got a pile that she's just counting. How many is there? Yeah, 6 at a time. So that's actually working on your 6 multiplication table because there's 6 of each block there. And there it is again on a different day. And there's a different, right? Same exercise, same replay. This one, he was building it as tall as he could, got this thing in there after he built 9s and 8s, and he still managed to make it work out well. He was standing on the table. This was totally fun, and just counting each one of these. So 7, 14, 21, etc. So this was each multiplication table here, not counting by any specific number. And then we can take this block again. The trays are control of error and help you do problems, right? Hey, build me square numbers. They cannot fail building square numbers here. Now, this is kind of boring though. So let's turn them into pyramids. That's more fun and cooler, and you can get some comparison of size and so forth. And there's a really cool one where we take the blocks and build a pyramid out of it, and there's a guy standing there, and we were actually doing 13 square, which is really easy. 169 is 13 squared, and there it is. And then this is way more counting, 9, 18, 27. Right? Even this is more counting than this, because look, I just count 1, 6, and 9. And they should be able to see 3 and 3. Right? And then that's the same thing with all the add-ins while you're doing the algebra or square numbers or bigger numbers when you're doing division. The mind gets the add-ins. Oh, 3 and 3, 6. Don't have to think about it. Right? Because they did it over and over and over again, and then we counted each one of these. Like, there's so much math going on here. How much more is this one than this one? How much more is this one than this one? How much more is this one than this one? See, and we've got 2 2s there. That's a 4, right? How much is the whole block? How much is this whole square? Right? If one side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because that's 2 1s right there. How much in this block? Oh, that's a 36 block, but it looks cool. All right. And then we can build add-ins this way. So instead of building add-ins and making a house out of it, where's my house? There you go. Where you build the walls this way, well, why not fool around and make a house? Oops, keep going. Or practice your add-ins, not necessarily make a house, make a skyscraper or a building where it looks like this. So now we have 10s, we're practicing 10s, and then 9s, and then 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, right? And how much fun is this, the two of them building this together? I've seen kids literally hop up and down when they finish building it, when they finally finished putting this add-ins tower together. So one way to build add-ins. You can also look on my website and see where we just built walls. And you can see also where they're put in a situation where they can't fail. And let me find that one again, just to point it out. And they build add-ins, which is what she's doing right here. These are all add-ins for the numbers past 10. All right, so again, building these towers, tons of fun. And now, oh, play some Jenga. Can you pull some pieces out without? And again, this tower, let's see, it was 4 on each level. Or wait, 5 on each level because they did 2, all the corners and one in the middle. You could do rows of 3. There's no correct way to do it. The more columns you have, the more fun you can have playing Jenga afterwards. And you can see he did. He took it out and it didn't fall down. Now he's trying to take out that one. All right. You can build your add-ins like this in the tray. Right? What are we doing? 45 add-ins, 400 math packs, and lots of different games and activities to get it down. All right, there it is again, right? So instead of making a tower, we played in the tray. Now, here's the thing. This little boy right here, we were doing calculus. No, well, pre-calculus. We went to a donut factory. I didn't mention y equals mx plus b. Maybe once I did. But overall, we went to Mui to Mukau's donut factory, and we figured out that his multiplication and addition skills need work. So when we first started out, I had problems like where I made an ordered pair, and he had to derive the equation, like the y equals mx plus b. And he found out that, yeah, and of course, make it y equals 3x plus 6. Make it y equals 4x plus 6. So he practices his 3's and 4's and addition. I'll get to it more detailed in another video. But the idea being is that, yeah, just because we're doing add-ins doesn't mean he can't figure out y equals mx plus b. And not to be outdone, this girl made one where she just had, right? And on this day, we only built 10s. That's it. That's all she did. And on this day, she built them all and made fun patterns at the same time. You just mix it up and have fun, counting and playing. Okay, and here, look, there's a 12 pyramid, and then you can see that there's a house all set up, so we're going to build 7s, 8s, 9s, and of course 10s. And the only thing they can go on this block, they can't overlap. They have to stay on the 10. So they get all their add-ins for 10. Now, here's a 12 pyramid where several of them participated in building the thing. And we had a totally fun time building 12s this way and counting 12s and counting, well, what's half of this pyramid, so on. All right, the idea being is that you just play and have fun, and when they start getting good at their multiplication tables and when they start having an easy time doing addition and subtraction, then you can start fooling around with a lot of the games and activities and story problems that are in the Series A manuals. Start doing functions and relationships. Start fooling around with y equals mx plus b. Start playing a little bit with trigonometry and triangles. And the first triangles you can build are just when I have a 30-degree angle, I have 1 to 2 when I'm making. So I practice my multiplication table for 2, right? The easy one down here, but we learn trig at the same time. And this, we can go into square numbers, or squaring numbers that end in 5. There's all kind of lessons that can be done just playing with blocks and pyramids and playing with square numbers. And then figuring out square root, and what does the square root symbol mean? And then it becomes very easy that square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 49 is 7, and that's why we call these square numbers. And again, just because the child is young, we spend almost zero time with a paper and pencil because his fine motor skills need development. But that doesn't mean we can't count lots of multiplication and build cool towers and practice our fine motor skills. Same here with the building of this tower. She's built these towers numerous times, and every time she builds it, we start off down here counting. And you can see this tower looks like 4s of them. Well, hello. This tower looks like we've got, what do we got? One, two, yeah, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. But every time counting by that number, and every time we build a tower, fun and easy. And it's an exercise that we do over and over again. And lots of games and activities where we practice how many times, how many ways can we count 4? How many ways can we count 8? All manner of various fun exercises where it's basically free play. And so they decided to make me some flowers. And then we counted them. Same thing here. Build something. And then turn it into math. You might mention Gauss there. And then algebra, 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 algebra. The algebra is generic math. It teaches all the other math. Right here, let's see here, I believe that's going to be 18 there. So there's x squared 9x. Oh, I tried to zoom in and it changed. But there's, where'd it go? There you go. Trying to look in the corner and it's backwards. Yes, it's x squared 9x and 18. And there are your add-ins for 9. And there's 3 times 6, 18. And again, very clear, if the whole rectangle is 18 and one side 6, the other side must be 3. If the whole rectangle is 18 and one side is 3, the other side must be 6. So you get division facts, you get multiplication facts, you get add-ins, all from just playing with algebra, just factoring polynomials, making puzzles, right? I put the code, he builds the code, and then he tells me what the sides are. And then later on, I'm going to make it way easy where he gets the code and one side, and all he has to do is tell me the other side. That's called division. And then sometimes, when I start introducing negative factors, we'll do the factors, and he has to build the rectangle. And the whole time we're counting. And then some other algebra that teaches mathematics is when we practice y equals mx plus b in a donut factory, he gets to practice multiplication and addition. So maybe you make the rate, how many they're making per hour, 6, since we're practicing 6s, or 3, since we're practicing 3s, and then change the constant. And see, what we found out with this child is that the cognitive load is still very high when I try to solve problems. He was, when we were doing ordered pairs, which just means he needs to practice more multiplication and addition so that the cognitive load is lowered and it's fun. Let's see, the calculus actually teaches us what he needs to practice. Well, the pre-calculus. But the same thing with the trigonometry. And the same thing when you, quote-unquote, introduce advanced math concepts. It's just more counting creatively. That's all you're doing. And so if they can't count rapidly with multiplication and they don't know their add-ins, so they can't add numbers quickly and easily in their head, the cognitive load goes way up. So trying to get giving them an ordered pair and them giving you a equation from that ordered pair becomes difficult. So keep them simple to start, and you'll see that it makes it fun and easy when they can master, or when they have mastered, 45 add-ins and 400 math facts. Then teaching the rest of the math, which is the K-12 curricula that's out there with algebra and trigonometry and so forth, is easy because they're not weighed down with computation and they don't get lost in computation. And as you can see, it's fun, right? We have a fun time. Team building skills, there's so much more going on than just plain old math when it comes to Mortensen Math. And at Crouton Ramon's House of Math, I was taught by Jerry Mortensen, who was taught by Mario Montessori, who of course was taught by Maria Montessori. But my lineage is direct into when it comes to the mathematics. So we had a fun time playing math. And again, let's end at the beginning. Or wait, we're going to begin at the end now. But counting and playing and building, it's not a joke. Build stuff and count it. You learn math by building stuff and counting it. You play purposefully and have fun. All right, Crouton Ramon's houseofmath.com for more.